You ever had a teacher who was completely wrong about their own subject? My math teacher, Mr. Roberts, insisted that you couldn't divide by zero and got absolutely furious when I politely suggested that wasn't exactly right in all situations. Excuse me, I've been teaching mathematics for 18 years, young man. Division by zero is undefined, period. It's impossible. He marched over to the whiteboard and wrote undefined in bold capital letters like he was carving mathematical law into stone. Then he made our entire class copy division by zero equals undefined into their notebooks while glaring at me. When I tried raising my hand again to explain that in calculus and limits it's more complicated, he completely shut me down in front of everyone. Do not correct your teacher when you are demonstrably wrong. This is exactly why students struggle with proper mathematics. You think watching YouTube videos makes you smarter than educators with actual degrees. The whole class turned to stare at me like I just claimed 2 + 2 = 5. My best friend Marcus was frantically texting me under his desk. Dude, just drop it please. You're totally embarrassing yourself right now. But I couldn't drop it because I knew that limits approaching zero were different from straight division, and it was driving me completely insane. I'd been doing advanced calculus online for months, preparing for AP classes next year. For the next 3 weeks, Mr. Roberts kept deliberately emphasizing that division by zero was impossible and would glance at me with this smug, satisfied expression. He'd say things like, unlike what some students think, math has absolute rules, while looking directly at me. He even put it on our weekly quiz with the question, what happens when you divide by zero? With the only acceptable answer being undefined. I stared at that question for 10 minutes before reluctantly writing down his oversimplified answer because I needed the points. Kids started whispering about me being the guy who argues with teachers about basic math. My grades started slipping because he was clearly grading my work harder than everyone else's. He'd mark off points for the tiniest calculation errors. I began seriously doubting myself. Maybe I was the crazy one. Maybe all those calculus videos I'd been watching were wrong. Maybe I'd misunderstood everything about advanced mathematics. The worst part was lunch. Kids would mock me by saying, hey genius, what's 5 divided by 0 when I walked by their tables. Even Marcus started distancing himself because he was embarrassed to be seen with me. Then came our final exam worth 40% of our semester grade. One problem asked about division properties, and I wrote about how division by zero was undefined in basic arithmetic but could be approached through limits in calculus. He handed back exams the next week with mine on top of the stack, making a huge show of it. There was a giant red X through my answer with a note scrawled in angry handwriting. Completely incorrect. See me after class immediately. My stomach dropped. This could seriously hurt my GPA and my chances of getting into AP calculus next year. After everyone filed out, he pulled out this thick, official-looking mathematics textbook to prove me wrong once and for all. His hands were actually shaking with righteous indignation. Now we're going to settle this ridiculous argument permanently, he announced, flipping through pages with confident dramatic flair. You've disrupted my class long enough with your arrogance. He found the chapter on limits and his finger traced down the text with theatrical precision. Here we go. Division by zero. Then his face went completely pale, like ghost white. He stared at that page for what felt like 30 solid seconds, his mouth slightly open. The text clearly explained how limits could approach infinity when denominators approached zero, and how L'Hopital's rule handled indeterminate forms. The silence in that classroom was absolutely deafening. You could hear the air conditioning humming. He quietly closed the textbook and set it down on his desk without making eye contact with me. His whole body language changed instantly from confident to deflated. You may go to your next class now, he whispered, still staring at his desk. The next morning, he made an announcement to our entire first period class about how mathematics has different rules at different levels, and never mentioned my disruption again. He also changed my exam grade to an A and gave me extra credit points that bumped my semester grade up. But the best part, word spread fast about what happened. By lunch, kids were coming up to me apologizing for giving me grief. Marcus felt so bad, he bought me pizza. Mr. Roberts was noticeably nicer to me for the rest of the year, and I swear he double-checked everything he wrote on the board after that.